Hello viewers, welcome to what is... Oh, I'm tired. Welcome to what is a very exciting day for me today, mostly because today I'm going out into the mountains, hence why I'm back in my old stomping ground. If you're a viewer of old videos, you'll know that this is where I used to make them. And I say stomping ground, this is just my parents' house, but stomping ground sounds much cooler. Yes, I've been stuck inside for good couple of weeks now, at least it's felt like, just doing emails and admin and sorting stuff for the rest of the year, and it's just really boring. So I'm very excited to get back out in the outdoors, and I'm going to make a video this afternoon. The other bit of good news is that a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I asked you to vote for me in a competition that will send me to Australia.
He wants to save his dog from a kangaroo. The kangaroo says, "Steady on, mate. We're in love. We're just having a bit of a hug in the bush. What's the problem, mate? Come on." Oh!
And it's happening. I'm going to Australia, which is amazing. Thank you so much for voting, and I can't wait. I will endeavour to make sure that I make as many good vlogs and hopefully some good images as well as possible. But yeah, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. I've got some potentially really interesting locations around the world to go and visit on the horizon. Nothing's confirmed yet, but one of them is like a real bucket list place. So I'm going to be a really annoying YouTuber and say, "Oh, I can't tell you what I'm doing, can't tell you where I'm going, it's all a secret." It's not, it's just not completely confirmed, so I don't want to look like an idiot by getting too excited about it and then it not happen. But in any case, it's looking like I'll have to do less videos inside later this year than I otherwise would have done, which in itself is wonderful news as far as I'm concerned. Now, this video is the critique video, or the first critique video that I'm going to be doing from the photos that you sent in 2 or 3 weeks ago now. I've been threatening to do this video for quite a while, and here it is. This is the third time I've tried to make it, which, again, if you're a long-term viewer, won't surprise you. The first time I didn't turn the mic on, so I looked at the footage and I didn't think you'd like silence and subtitles for 15 minutes. And the second time I considered doing a live video, which I'm very excited about doing in future. The thought of live videos to me is it's just really cool. I think it'd be a good way to hang out. My favourite thing about YouTube is the comments. So to be able to interact with those comments in live time, I think would be yeah, it would just be really cool. So I'm going to look into that. This time I very much failed. I got very confused with the cables that you needed for live, and also the software and how to do it on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, live's not going to work today, but hopefully in the future. There were over 300 images sent in, as I've mentioned before, which, I mean, I'm not going to get to today. Hopefully I'll get to in other videos. I can't guarantee I'll get to them all, but I'm going to get to more images than I get to today. Hopefully. But for this video I've just selected sort of 10, 12, 13, something like that, and I'm going to go through them and talk about what I would have done differently, which I have to emphasise doesn't mean that I'm going to do things the right or the wrong way. Photography is all about expression. It's all very subjective, so I'm not going to give you what you should have done, it's just what I'd have done, which, you know, it's completely up to you whether you take that on board or not. Other things to say. Oh, yeah, the parameter that I use to try and distinguish good photos from bad photos is, well, to me it seems quite obvious because I've been using it for a while now. It might not when I try and explain it, so bear with me. Most photos are, as far as I'm concerned, they're of something. So they might be of a mountain, they might be of a beach, they might be of a person. But typically, when you look at it, you say that's a photo of something. And I think a good photo it's about something rather than being of it. I don't really know if that makes sense. Hopefully it'll make more sense as I delve into some of these images. But basically, as far as I'm concerned, the more people you can get to agree on the fact that a photo is about something rather than of something, to me, that makes it a better photo. And it's all very subjective. You know, you might have one person that thinks it's just documentation of a place or an event, and another person might think it's the best art they've ever seen. But I think typically, if your photo tells a story, i.e. it's about something, that I find often makes a better result than if it's just a documentation of something or just of something. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but that's normally the case with these, so I'll just crack on. So first image, let's have a look at what you've got. Just gonna move that down. I've just got to remember where I put these photos. Just talk amongst yourselves. Critique images, here we go. Okay, image number 1. Oh, for fuck's sake. I feel like I might have to put an end to this sheep thing. I don't know if it's gone a bit too far. I get a lot of comments about sheep. I mean, the most annoying thing about it is it's a very good photo. It's a very good photo of sheep. So I don't actually have any comments. So Wayne Ashton, good job. Right, what's next? Ooh, yes. Second photo is by Finn Hoggart. Wonderful image. I love this. Those clouds are incredible. Now, I think this, in a very, very good way, looks just otherworldly. It's incredible. The colour and the tones in those clouds. I love that you've centred the moon. And the moon is kind of almost wrapped around these clouds here. That's incredible. The only thing I think I'd have changed about this image, literally the only thing, is I'd have maybe clone stamped this chemtrail, no, this vapor trail down here. That's the only thing that kind of distracted me, and I guess it's the only real giveaway I had when I looked at the image that it wasn't some kind of otherworldly, crazy solar. I don't know what I'm getting at here, but it's such an incredible image from the point of view of like a escapism, and that vapor trail kind of just reminds you that it is Earth, and it's kind of it's like a fairly normal place. That aside, that's a really incredible image. Next image from, and my pronunciations, Cesar de la Pena. Is that right? And wow, look at those stars. That star is the brightest thing I've ever seen. What's that? Is that a planet? Very good image. I like that there's incredible cloud down here too. I think, to me, when I look at this image, it's about two things. It's about those incredible stars, but it's also about these boats in the foreground. Now, technically, this, I imagine, was quite a difficult image to get. I mean, those boats must have had to be super still, because I imagine you had to have a relatively long exposure to get those stars like that. I think, because the stars are incredible for getting on for over half of the image, I think what I'd have done is got rid of this slice of the image, just at the top here, because they don't necessarily add anything. I think the stars are most incredible underneath, kind of in this portion of the image. And I think what I'd have done instead is lowered the camera so that you can include more of the reflection of the boat. Now that's very easy to say, sat here, because to me I'm imagining that there's nothing in front of this boat, which could very easily be, well, wrong. I mean, there might have been other boats blocking the reflection, so you might have made a creative decision to make sure that you didn't include any of those. So I guess all I'd say about this image is it's really, really good. If it had been possible to compose it differently, that's what I'd have done. If it hadn't, then I think I'd have ended up with a very similar result to what you have. Very, very nice. Number 4 is from Miles Rutger. Wow! Where's that? That looks incredible. And is that cloud down in the valley as well? Wow, I really, really like that. That's awesome. In terms of feedback, again, the only thing I think I'd have done differently compositionally, just to make the photo more about something rather than just of something, is that this top portion of the sky is not really doing anything for me. There's all this incredible detail and interesting stuff in the bottom half of the image, but above these clouds, nothing all that much is really happening. So I think I'd have recomposed so that the trees are pretty much near the top of the image, and in doing so you can potentially tell more of a story with what's going on in the snow at the bottom of the image, because it looks like there's some kind of trail here. So the story to me here is, yes, you've got this incredible background and midground, but I want to know more about these trails in the snow and what that means in terms of what's going on at this scene. But yeah, incredible image. Technically it looks perfect. Number 5, Mr. John OBrien. I'm going to say O'Brien. Is it O'Brien or OBrien? Sorry, I understand how frustrating it is. No one can pronounce my name either. Popsis. It's Popsis. Another beautiful image. I love the light coming off this tree here in the corner. That to me is the story, the light down in this area of the image and also on this tree too. The only thing that catches my eye, that I don't want to catch my eye in this image, is that you've got these out of focus kind of little twigs and branches kind of just hovering and floating around the image, and there's probably not an awful lot you can do about those in this composition. I wonder if what I'd have been tempted to do is experiment with landscape orientation rather than portrait orientation, so maybe take the camera lower to the floor, really bring the bluebells into the shot, and therefore you might avoid some of this sort of high foliage that I at least am finding are just a little bit distracting. Because also in this top half of the image, I mean, yes, that's an amazing sky, but again, similar theme to the last image really, above this kind of amazing pink stuff here, you've just got a relatively dull kind of grey bluey sky, which I don't think needs including actually. So yeah, maybe take the camera a bit lower and maybe experiment with landscape orientation too, and I think that's maybe how I'd have gone after composing a shot like this. But yeah, that light is incredible. Next is from Krista Decker. Ooh, moody. I really like this. Now I think, I can't tell without having this image open on Photoshop or Lightroom, but to me this lighthouse isn't quite centered. There's a good chance I'm making that up and I'm just being fooled by this this causeway here. But if not, that's maybe the first thing I'd do, because this image is all about the lighthouse. I'd have also maybe tried to brighten up the light in the lighthouse. Now you might have put that there yourself, there might not have been a light there originally, but I'd try and brighten that, maybe end up with some kind of little flare or something. But other than that, I don't think I'd have changed an awful lot. I love the detail in the sea, and also the sky in this image is interesting all the way up. Because obviously you've got this storm in the bottom half of the sky and you've got lots of detail still in the top half of the sky, so like that a lot. Maybe the only thing I'd have tried to adjust is I'd have perhaps cloned out this thing on the causeway. I find it a little bit distracting because it kind of competes with your eye with the lighthouse. And the only other thing is I'd have maybe tried to make sure that this causeway met the very corner of the image. Other than that though, very nice indeed. Number 7 is from Luis. Ooh, very nice image. I mean, I hope your camera was okay after you took it. It looks like it's absolutely pelting it down, but also looks like it's straight from a 40s photo book, apart from the modern outboard on the back of the boat. I think that's an outboard, is it an outboard? Yeah, very much like this image. Again, I mean, there's a theme here developing, but I think I'd have repositioned the camera, gone much lower, because in the top half of this image, there's not an awful lot happening. Whereas if you lowered the camera and had this boat further up in the image, you'd have more of the sea and you'd get much more of an impression of the rain and just how brutal the rain is, which might have added a bit more drama to the image. But having said that, I also like what you've done here. I like that the sea sort of blends in slowly to the sky, very nice. But yeah, that's the only other option I'd have tried when taking the shot. But then again, you probably didn't want to spend all that long in these conditions, so don't really blame you for that. Next one is from Gianna Platon. Is that right? Now this, that is awesome. Love this shot. The only thing I think I'd have changed is that for me, this image is obviously about the dog, about the tennis ball, and about this water here. I think the water around the dog and these splashes up here really add to the drama and give you a sense of how much the dog wants this ball. But I think what I'd have done is just cropped in slightly to reduce the amount of the sky, which isn't doing a whole lot for the image. And then I think that kind of emphasizes what's going on in the foreground. So yeah, that's all I'd have done. And also cropping would get rid of this, whatever this is. Is that a bottle? Or I don't know what that is, but yeah, this rock behind it is a bit distracting as well. So yeah, just a bit of a crop, but that is an incredible image. What an action shot. Next one is from Seb Howitt. Ooh, I know that place. Mount Cook. What a beautiful part of the world that is. Some of the freshest air I think I've ever noticed. I mean, quite often when you go to a place you don't really notice the air, do you? But there, just, it's like breathing in pure oxygen. And also, very nice image too. Now the only thing I think I'd have done with this image is, well, I think I'd have gone portrait orientation. And that's just because there's an awful lot going on. I mean, you've got these incredible rocks. You've got, obviously, the flowing water. I assume you've used an ND filter here because the water's all, what's the word? You know what I mean, as are the clouds. And I think that if you'd have gone portrait orientation, you'd have potentially been able to crop a little bit, lose some of the sky, because I mean it's an okay sky, but in comparison to the rest of the image, it's not all that interesting in my opinion. And then you can just pack a lot more detail into the image, because if I do crop here, I'm still getting enough of each of the elements. I'm just getting kind of more of it because I'm closer. If that makes sense. I don't know if that does make sense. That said, obviously if you do that, you lose this amazing little bit of light here. So maybe I'm talking nonsense, but I think had I been there, I think I'd have got exactly this composition, and I think I'd have also tried with portrait just to see how it turned out. I mean, you might have done that, and you might have decided you preferred this one, which is absolutely fair enough. The only other thing I'd say, just based on personal preference and personal preference alone, is that I'm not the biggest fan of long exposure clouds. I don't think the effect works as well as it does on water, and therefore typically what I like to do when I'm working with that effect on water, when I'm trying to blur water, blur, that was the word, what I do typically is I'll use the ND filter, and then I'll get another exposure without the ND filter just to get more detail in the cloud, because I think the cloud looks better with the detail, i.e. a shot with a shorter exposure. And then I'll blend those two together in Photoshop, which will give you, in my opinion, a slightly more interesting image. But that, again, is just personal preference. But very nice image. It makes me jealous. It makes me want to go there again. Next one is from Michael Meehan. Michael Meehan? Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. In fact, I think my favourite thing about this is you can see the sweeping body, which I assume is the same animal, the tail of the same animal, might be another one, but I think that really, that's a perfect example of a bout. You can tell that the animal's chilled, it's all curled up, and if the tail wasn't there, you wouldn't really get a sense of what the animal's up to. But since it is there, you can. In the name of symmetry, I think what I'd have done is tried to crop the image to make sure that the distance from the top of the head of this, I don't even know what it is it lizard or gecko or I don't know. In any case, I'd have tried to make sure that the top of the image to the top of the head is about the same size as this tail thing or whatever it is down here. I think that just would have given the image slightly more pleasing dimensions. Other than that though, very, very nice image, very nice capture. And next one, Felipe Santos. Is it Felipe or Philippe? I'm going to assume Felipe. And ooh, I like this. This is a very good example actually of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about an image of being about something rather than just of something. So these two people down here make for a very interesting image. I have no idea what they're doing. Has this girl just found some sort of, is it like a washing basket or something? She's stuck it on her head? Who knows? But the fact that they're kind of at the bottom of an image that's kind of just all bland concrete, quite a bland concrete type sky, and then the fact that they're in black, you've got complementing very dark shadows, and the fact that they're doing something which is really quite weird. I mean, do you know what they were doing? Is there any backstory here? Were you involved in this, or were you just an onlooker? Yeah, I think the image just all comes together really, really nicely. The only slight thing that I'd have maybe tweaked, and you might have tried to tweak, I don't know if you had a chance or if it was even possible, was that this girl's feet are chopped off by this pole. So I don't know if you could have got the camera a bit higher. I assume this is from Waterloo Bridge that you were stood on when you got this image. So yeah, you probably couldn't. But to be honest, even with that, it's a really interesting, cracking image. And nicely cropped too. Yes, good image. So last one is from Steve Powell. Ooh, I like this. Okay, again, for the last image, that works quite well. This is another very good example of an image of something versus an image about something. So had Steve framed this hotel in the middle of the shot without this washing line, then I'd have argued that that would have been a photo of the hotel. I mean, it's a very cool hotel. Is this like Outback Australia, maybe? But yeah, it would have just been a photo of a cool hotel. However, the fact that this washing line is, well, framed very nicely actually, you've got the end of it kind of intersecting with this hotel very nicely, but the fact that it's framed how it is and that it's just included, to be honest, is, well, it changes the whole image. I mean, these clothes do a couple of things. They talk about life. So the hotel looks really desolate. Obviously it's a desert-like setting, there's no clouds, there's no real indication that there's anything to do with life in this location. But then when you add a washing line, it just adds a whole new dimension to the image. You start thinking, do those people live there? Are they guests at the hotel? Why have they got jeans? It looks like it's absolutely roasting. And also the clothes are blowing in the wind, which gives you more of an indication about what the weather is. Because had you not had those clothes there, I certainly wouldn't think that that was a windy scene. So they just add a whole new dimension to the image. Really, really clever. I don't know if Steve put those clothes there himself for the purpose of the shot, or he just happened across this scene, or maybe they're his clothes that he took off and he's just taken his photo. in his underwear. I don't know, but whatever the case, I really, really like that. And that is a perfect image to end on, actually, because as I say, that image is a really good representation of what I mean by having a photo that's about something rather than just of something. And it doesn't have to be clothes, doesn't have to be people, but finding something in the image that tells you a lot more about the image than if you just stood there and taken a photo of sort of the main event. And likewise, that's what I liked about the previous image from Felipe, or Philippe. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful. What did we do then? 12 images? For me, that feels like the right kind of length for these videos. You might disagree, or you might agree. Let me know in the comments. But I'm going to edit this quickly and then make a beeline for the mountains. I can't wait to get outside. And I'll make another video there as well, so you'll see that on Sunday, unless something goes horribly wrong. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.